Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. Ah, Sorry. So, yeah, another absolutely insane week. Whoever thought that the S&P 500 would be more volatile than crypto and Bitcoin? At least Bitcoin, not crypto. But let's dive right in, shall we? Blah, blah, blah. I'm also reading the Discord a little bit. Just bear with me. Yeah. So I think a lot of us are thinking the same thing. Like, yeah, we have a little bit of euphoria now, but the underlying problems are still there. Like, even the tariffs are not lifted permanently. They're a 90-day pause. But who's to say if Trump wakes up on the wrong side of the bed tomorrow, he could just as easily reinstate them, even though they only hurt American people, or at least mostly. Still do not really understand. I refuse to believe that he is a financial genius who is playing chess with China, because there is no way he was, and it still makes absolutely no sense to me. But all it was doing was crashing the markets, and I think he had to pull the brakes on it because U.S. bonds were also, Treasury bonds were also being massively sold, which would have tanked the economy pretty much overnight. So it wasn't a win. He was forced to do this. It's being presented as a win, but that is what Trump's MO is. He spins things to make them sound in his favor, which is honestly what a politician would do. It makes sense to do that. But yeah, I suppose that's the way it goes, and all we can do is play with these fluctuations, is try to trade them, try to buy them, maybe sell them, short them. I'm not big on shorting, but maybe you are. But yeah, there's still a lot of fear in the market. I think that makes absolute sense. If someone was in the Discord or just posted a comment on a different YouTube video, basically saying that no company is going to do a long-term investment right now because of how uncertain the market is. Nobody likes uncertainty, especially if you're a multi-million-dollar business and you have to make long-term choices. And if you make that choice and overnight Trump torpedoes it with a different tariff or a different rule or whatever, or another country retaliates and it hits your business, then you go bankrupt. So everybody is going to keep their money in their pockets for now, which hurts the economy even more. Like, nobody likes uncertainty. We like volatility, but we don't like uncertainty, or at least as traders. So overall, I still think like the markets, it's going to be bad for the markets, but I do think it can also it can create opportunities in Bitcoin. Let's say crypto, but I think Bitcoin in general, because I think Bitcoin is being viewed as the safe haven. Oh, sorry, I had the comments turned off. I was thinking it was a little bit quiet in here. Booking from work so I can watch it. Yeah. I don't think he sleeps either. But I wonder what he does all day. Like, if he's not on TV, he's tweeting throughout the night. So I do not think he's living a healthy lifestyle. A lot older than me, so I think he's around 80. So he's obviously he did something right in his life. And golf, yeah, maybe that's the secret. Maybe I need to learn how to play golf. But yeah, I think the dollar index crashing, it will, like, the trust in the dollar and the U.S. economy is waning, and I think that can push a lot of people to Bitcoin. We saw something similar to happen in Turkey, because Turkey has its own crazy leader, like Erdogan, and all his economists were telling him to lower interest, and he did the exact opposite because he saw a theory about it once that it would restore his economy. So he kept raising it and raising it and raising it, making the Turkish lira worth less and less and less. And people were getting paid their salary, and the day after it would be worth 50% less. I'm not exactly sure on that percentage, but it would be worth a lot less. So people massively started buying gold and Bitcoin. And I'm not saying it will happen overnight in such big numbers in America or in the world, but I do think it will push people to move away from the dollar, which is bad for the US, but good for Bitcoin. So that could be our shining light on the horizon as investors, or at least I'm an investor more than I am a trader. So that could make sense. Like the lower Bitcoin goes now, I want to buy more, I want to acquire more. That could be a very good thing if that happens. I won't say it's good for the world, it absolutely isn't. And if you're big in stocks or whatever, it also isn't. But I'm still massively building both my stock portfolio and my crypto portfolio. And I'm relatively young, so I have the time to hopefully outlive Trump or who follows him or whatever crazy stuff happens in the world. I have the time, like 10, 20, maybe 30 years. Hopefully sooner, but I have the time to wait that out. So the lower we go, the more I acquire. And if we then see this decoupling from dollar, or maybe the BRICS countries finally devise their way of circumventing the dollar, and maybe they start to use crypto more and massively adopt it, that would instantly shoot Bitcoin to, that's what I think will push Bitcoin to 200,000, maybe even 500,000. And McDonald's, yeah. But now we can see, usually when the markets rise, crypto or Bitcoin rises alongside it. And as the S&P 500 fell, like let's grab that chart. Like as the S&P dropped like 20%, I think. So it was around 20%. It was a little bit more actually. So when that dropped 20% and when it went back up, it's similar, but percentage-wise, it's a lot less. So Bitcoin only lost a few percent, while in the history, it's always been the reverse. Bitcoin would shoot down 10%, and the S&P would only lose 2, maybe 3%. So we can already see this decoupling happening a little bit. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens over throughout the course of this year, but also the next 3 years. And in my opinion, I think Trump has overplayed his hand, his tariff hand, because China has an equally, well, let's say it, daring leader. I think that's the safest word to use here. But I think China also has a leader who's not afraid to push limits. Like you can see with the retaliatory tariffs. And I think Trump might have overplayed his hand a little bit there, because yes, they import from America as well, or vice versa. But I think in that area, like China is so interwoven throughout all of the economies, and it's not just cheap crap from Temu. Like obviously they have interwoven themselves throughout industries and businesses worldwide. And if let's say they decide to stop sending stuff altogether, I don't think it will, but let's say that happens, I think the US industries, like China will be hit obviously, but I think the US industries will be hit equally hard. And Americans already are being hit very hard because of these tariffs, because they're import tariffs. They're being paid by American people. And I thought prices in the EU were bad, but honestly, the prices in America scare me. They really scare me. Like for comparison, eggs, a box of eggs. Before all these tariffs, I saw a box of eggs in America in a video. They were walking from Walmart, I think it was. 12 or $13, 12 something dollars for a carton of eggs, 12 eggs, which is already insane. But I think even more bigger the difference is, like, the regular salary is roughly the same as here, but with our salaries we get well, mostly free healthcare. We pay a monthly fee, but we after that we get free healthcare. So if we get run over, we need surgery, doesn't cost us anything, doesn't bankrupt us. We have insurances for almost everything. And in America, you're being left completely alone to your own devices. So you have to take care of your own retirement, which is also already in our salaries. Days off, it all adds up. So I think the pressure on the wage of the normal American person is a lot higher in its base form. And that salary which they have left, or if they just don't pay medical bills and crap like that, whatever they have left, that they get hit a lot harder through these tariffs as well. And then if as stuff becomes more scarce, they're going to get hit even harder. And as that is happening, people will start spending less and less and less because they just can't afford stuff, and that will hit businesses even harder, even after importing stuff as well. And pair that with, I don't think China is going to be backing down anytime soon. I think it's going to be. I have a video on this on YouTube as well. I think the death spiral, I think it's pretty much set in motion, and I think it's going to be very, very hard to reverse the damage that has been done. I think that will echo for a while. Also, I think America has lost a lot of the favor it had with other countries. Like, I don't think Canadians are going to be buying American products anytime soon. Even I just saw a message. I think it was a Twitter post from Canada's new Prime Minister, that they're willing to go for a 0% tariff if Donald agrees. Even if that happens, I think for the next few years, Canadian customers will buy the Canadian products sooner than American products, or go on vacation to the EU instead of America. I think there's a lot of economic damage, fallout, which still has to happen. But yeah, I think for Bitcoin there is a silver lining in all this, and I think it could be. I still think Bitcoin will go down alongside stocks, alongside everything else, but it might actually be a safer haven because I think it'll be less volatile. So if you look at these percentages, like the S&P, well, let's do this the correct way. So the S&P dropped 22% and then went back up 13 per day in a day, and one of the biggest index funds in the world. Like, normal would be, let's take one of the bigger drops, that was just 3%. It's very rarely that there's such volatility in the index fund. It's on the one hand, it's incredible, it's amazing, but for the economy, not just the U.S. economy, it's not good. And I myself am heavily invested in the S&P 500. I call it my retirement fund, like crypto profits. Everything I make, I try to shift as much into it as I can to farm the dividends out of it. So yeah, I am down quite considerably on that portfolio. Overall, still in a little profit, but yeah, I got hit pretty bad. But I'm not selling. And as long as I don't sell, I don't make a loss on it. And I don't need to sell it because I still get my cash dividends. I still have the time to wait it out and see what happens. And I think if we zoom out a little, yeah, it does look very, very bad, but we did recover quite a bit. But even still, I think overall it will be fine. Well, personally, I think that's the best way to go. Like, just hodl your crypto assets or stocks or gold or whatever you hold, Buy something you believe in will exist in the next 10 or 20 years, maybe 5 years, whatever your timeline is, and just try to buy a little bit every month. Just some money you can afford not to sell, like stuff you don't need in the short term, and just keep buying all the way down. That's where you'll make your money. Buying the top isn't going to make you rich. Buying the bottom is, but it's as simple as that. And it sounds so much easier than it is, because when you see the value of your portfolio dropping, especially if you see it dropping 20% in 2 weeks, yeah, then your people start to worry, and it's completely understandable that they do. But you got to keep that workings of how economies and world global markets function. You got to keep that in the back of your mind and try to stay calm. But this is also like, while Trump's tariff pause gave some relief to the markets, traders are still reluctant to go all in on risk assets, and that's exactly my point. Like, Trump hailed it as his big victory, but you can see like the S&P is still nowhere near from where he started. Yes, it recovered a lot, but we're still way down. So I don't think it's the victory he's claiming it to be. I think it was a panic move, considering the U.S. government debt sell-off, and like how much of it is true, I'm not sure. I'm not that invested into the U.S. economy, but apparently Japan and other BRICS countries started massively selling off U.S. debt, which in turn tanks the confidence in the U.S. dollar, in the U.S. economy, and therefore the dollar. And they can't print more dollars because that would devalue the dollar even more. So it would increase interest rates, and it, like the death spiral I mentioned sooner. If they let this go uncontrolled, maybe the dollar could have dropped 50% in value overnight. If something like that happened, it could like cause global bankruptcy. Obviously, it's very, take it with a grain of salt, but it's something along those lines. And as you read this article, like Trump was forced his hand, like he overplayed his tariff hand, and he had to pause the tariffs to cause euphoria to stop this sell-off. That's what I think happened, and as opposed to Trump being a master genius as across against China, because then it also wouldn't make any sense. Why pause the EU? Like, then you would be better off pausing China. Like, but maybe I don't, like, I'm just a guy sitting in his attic talking about all this stuff. Oh, there goes my camera. But I'm just a guy sitting in his attic talking about this crap, and this is my take on it. But for me, like I said, it doesn't matter, because I'm not over leveraged in anything. I don't hold high leverage positions, at least not now. So I'm just buying my spot buys, buying everything I want to hold, and that everything that's cheap. And the cheaper it is, the better, because I'm still building up the portfolios, all my portfolios really. And I will most likely be doing that until the day that I die. Like, I don't see any reason why to stop that. And I think that's what the bigger players are doing as well. But that's the way to go, Tina. That's the way. That's how to keep your focus. Like some people are more easily spooked than others, and I have friends who like in real life that ask me this stuff, like, hey, aren't you heavily in the S&P 500? Man, that sucks. Well, yeah, it sucks for a lot of people, but not for me. I'm just buying more. And obviously you need a stable base to do that, and that's also why I do things like this, and I try starting up my YouTube channel. It's not that big yet, so I don't make any money off of it, but I like doing this as well, by the way. If you're just doing it for the money, I wouldn't do it, but I like talking about this stuff, and I like hearing other people's opinions. But I think overall, if you try if you have a stable base, maybe have a little side income, do a hobby you're good at, make a little extra cash. As long as you just funnel those amounts of cash in, nothing can happen to you. Like nobody can touch you if you just have your job and you do what you're good at, and on the side you make it. Eventually, this big pile is going to pay out. Maybe in 10 years, maybe in 20 years. Eventually, it will be early retirement. It's basically, it's not that I want to retire. I want to have the option to. And I've been doing very good the last few years. So why change what's working? Like a lot of people are heavily into day trading, and I tried it. I did it for a while. I made a lot of money, but also lost. I mean, I gained more than I lost, but eventually I thought to myself, like, why keep staring at charts all day and losing time with friends and family? And nowadays I'm just more focused on friends and family while also doing this, and those spot buys are the way to go. Well, I bought Doge at 2 cents and I sold it at 4 because I thought it was one of my very first crypto buys. And I bought it at 2 cents with a couple $1,000, sold it at 4, and I was like, damn, I just doubled my money in the span of, it was a few days. And I sold it and it went up to that 40 cent. So that very well could have made me a lot more money at that time. So that was one of my lessons, which I taught myself, like, I never sell everything. Like, obviously, if something rises 10,000%, then yes, take out most of it, obviously. Because eventually you hit a certain market cap and things won't grow as quick anymore, or they're more likely to go down after such a huge bump up. But I've taught myself to, yes, take profits. To take profits, but never sell everything. Always keep, some call it a moon bag, but it's the same with Bitcoin. Like I take profits out of Bitcoin all the time. Bitcoin goes up 10%, I take a little bit of profit out. But I do that so I have cash to buy when it drops back down. There was another thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so this is what I think Trump is doing, his panic move. And I still think that is the situation we're in. Like, the tariffs are still at play. Trump is still as crazy as he is. He still probably has a lot of ideas. And honestly, I think he pulled off the biggest pump and dump in the history of the stock market. Maybe. I'm not sure if it is statistically, but I think it's very big at least. And I don't see any reason why we should all be that euphoric, why markets should go to new all-time highs, other than maybe Bitcoin decoupling and people started massively buying Bitcoin. But I think Trump's actions have devalued, or at least destabilized, the value of the dollar tremendously. And this raising hopes of Bitcoin, but also altcoin prices. So we have not had an actual altcoin season. At least not on the Trump Bitcoin pump. Altcoins were lagging behind. We all thought there would be an altcoin season, but it didn't happen. We got a crash instead. So as the dollar does devalue, if it happens, and people start buying crypto in order to protect against, as hedges against the dollar, or maybe the stock market, hedge against the stock market. Stock market's at least more volatile and also was already dropping and seems to be continuing now after this initial pump up. Maybe we can finally see an altcoin rally, like people thinking, hey, Bitcoin's $80,000 coin, I think that's too risky, maybe I'll buy some Ethereum. Ethereum is quite cheap at the moment. I think Ethereum, what's that right now, like 1,500? No, 1,500, 1,566. So all-time highs, I mean, The thing with crypto is all these levels, all this technical analysis is all based on what everyone thinks. So it's all psychological levels. And even in stocks, it's also similar, but stocks are, their market caps usually are so much bigger, so they're much less easy to influence with big amounts of money. But bigger players in crypto can much more easily influence the price of a coin. So let's say you have a crypto coin which has $10 million in it. In order to raise that price 10%, you have to put 1 million more in the market cap. Yeah, that's correct. So if the market cap rises by 1 million, the price would rise 10%, regardless of what it is. It also depends on the amount of coins that are in circulation, but that's the general gist of it. The market cap rises 10%, the price rises 10%. So as you come near these all-time highs, these levels, everybody, like, let me ask you, if you see $3,000 round number and we're at 2,900 and you're up almost 50%, what do? You sell, or at least I would take profits. And a lot of people, traders, especially bigger traders, sell. And a lot of people put their take profits or their stop losses, whichever it is, as you come closer to that level, right above or below that level. So that makes it become true because everybody puts those levels there. So as the price moves to it, once it hits it, it starts reacting very heavily. And it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's why it's also easier to predict, because you know that a lot of automated trades will trigger once it hits that price level. And as it hits that price level, you'll see massive candles, prices shooting up. Let's see if we have a good example, like on the daily. So let's grab this. It's on the line. Why is that? There. That's what I wanted to do. All right. So this is obviously a more volatile area, but a lot of people will most likely have their stop losses just below this level. And you can see that because we see that massive candle pushing it down. That's just 3,000. Why $3,000? It's a round number. It becomes a psychological level. People start trading at that level, either longing, shorting, buying, selling, whatever. We can see the same thing happen here. We can see the same thing happen here because not everyone puts it at that exact level. People tend to put it a little higher or a little below to make sure their orders are triggered. So people had buy orders right here, just above that $3,000 price level, in order to capitalize on this candle. And there were people that bought here and sold here. Day traders, bigger traders. And it's the same for all-time highs, but all-time highs are bigger levels. So they have more buying or selling pressure around that area. So you'll likely see bigger reactions around that area. So that $3,000 level, I just grabbed it. You can see a big reaction here, a big reaction here, big reaction here. It hit it a couple times, then something similar. It shot past it here, of course. You see something similar here, 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 and it continues on like that. And let's grab Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is a good example for it as well. So it isn't an as round number, but you can still see, like here it was a resistance. That's where support and resistance also comes from. But you can see it here, you can see it here, you can see it here, and something similar happened with this line. Now an all-time high will react similarly, only more stronger. And you can see the same thing happen here. And this one, there was still a lot of buying pressure, but you can see we still went down. And there's something similar happened here, like we hit the all-time high, 108, 108.5, we see a big sell-off pressure happen because we also saw a big move up. And that's like, I don't believe as hard in all-time highs. I think we can make just as much money on the random sideways circles. But I'll tell you what, this blue line, I think I can show it better on this one. Like, if we go to the monthly, this is a token of how predictable Bitcoin can be. A big line from the top of this candle to basically the bottom of this candle here. And I posted this line when we were at the top here. So a few streams ago, a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago actually, I posted that blue line because I was talking about, like, if Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high, every all-time high, it also went down. It corrected itself down massively. And we all say, oh, it's just because Trump did this, or a bank did that, or some country regulated this. But that is, to me, that is Bitcoin cycles. Because if you overlay this, it almost exactly lines up here. And it almost exactly lines up here. And it only reached the closing end, not the actual bottom, but still, it's not an exact science, it'll never be. And it also did the same here. Now, if you are big on pattern recognition, I mean, this is 100% a pattern, which is repeated every time. So do you think what will happen? Like, will we break above it or will we go further down? I mean, nobody's 100% sure on it. Like, we can see something like this happen, or we see this happen. And I'm more inclined to this scenario, to Bitcoin going back to this 50-60 area because of the global economics. But I can be completely wrong, and Bitcoin becomes the new safe haven for investors, and everybody starts shoveling their cash in. Hope I'm wrong. Like, I don't mind if we go to new all-time highs. I also don't mind if we go lower. Like, I'd love to buy Bitcoin at 50K again. I wasn't able to buy as much the last time around, so yeah, I wish I was, but I was remodeling my house at the time. So yeah, sometimes you don't have enough cash. I think we all know that problem. But yeah, that's my take on all-time highs. That's the only reason why I think they matter. Other than that, I think they matter because the market cap rises. Like, market caps are so much more important than just all-time highs. And I think new all-time highs are natural as long as you have lasting assets. More dollars, more euros, more whatever are being printed every year. More cash is being generated every year. Cash is a man-made invention, and we make more of it every year. And millions and billions go to companies and millionaires and billionaires, of course. And what do they do with it? They shovel it into stock markets because they don't want to be taxed on it. They shovel it into stocks and crypto and debt and whatever. So it's natural for all this money to flow into the assets we're trying to buy. So I'm not worried at all. Over time, everything we own will be worth more. It's the same with houses. Housing prices are rising exponentially every year. And they will continue to do so because that's how financial markets work. That's how our economy works. And yeah, they try to put the brakes on it with interest increases and whatever. That's how the world works, and it will always work like that, at least for now. So I've been rambling for 35 minutes. If anybody has a question, oh, sorry, I will read your last message. Eventually, I think we will go back up, but I'm not expecting it for a few years. I put all my Bitcoin on the ledger. That's a good idea, actually. I think that's a very good idea. Like, if you keep all your assets easily tradable, like, it's the same in your wallet. If you have a lot of cash in your wallet, you're going to spend it more easily. So yeah, I think it's a good idea to put it in a ledger, put it somewhere safe. You don't use it. I don't use a ledger. I don't use a ledger. I use my wallet umbrella. I have several wallets, and with one wallet as my master wallet, which doesn't interact with anything. I might actually make a second one soon. might actually be a good idea to have a few master wallets. Actually, I gave myself a good idea right there. Yeah, I was prone to panic selling in the beginning as well. But every time I sold, as we all know, we know the meme picture. Like, all right, he sold. Let's pump the price. And that happened to me so many times. It was pretty early in the times of crypto. Like Solana was dirt cheap, AVAX was worth pennies, Doge was super cheap. I had all those assets and I sold them. I sold them all of them, and then they all shut up. So that was a painful and expensive lesson to learn. But yeah, that yeah, that was not the way it was supposed to go. But oh well, I learned it, and I'm now doing the thing. I'm now just holding everything. I ordered a tangent ring and cards, but the stupid thing has been on back order for 2 months. 2 months, yeah, that sucks. Well, I'm not sure what it cost, but it was like a almost 1,000% cheaper than it is now. Like way in the early days of Apex. And I also had Trader Joe dirt cheap. I did make a lot of money on Trader Joe and on Pancake Swap cake. I love cake, both the crypto and and the regular. I still like Pancake Swap, by the way. I still like the platform. Amazing staking, yield farming. I did a lot of yield farming back in the day. Made a crap ton of money on it, and I made like a 10x on cake. So it I still check out the platform every now and then, but I don't think the interest percentages are worth taking yield farming serious anymore. But at least they fluctuate way too soon for it to be worth the risk you take. Oh, well, guys, if anyone has one final question, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to close out the stream, and I'd love to see you all next week. Maybe we have a lot of positive news, or maybe we see a little bigger correction down, which I also take as positive news. Right, if not, then yeah, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and if you can, check out my channel, maybe like and subscribe, help me out a little. If not, I'll catch you all next week, or add me in the server, ask me anything. In the Discord at least. Alright guys, I'll see you all next week.